All right, so we're going to do an unboxing. Pet peeve time. All right, so what are my pet peeves? People that come on my videos and tell me things that drive me, like grinds my gears. So what grinds my gears? Okay, the other day, if you wrote this comment, I'm not being a jerk or anything, but really, dude and bros and whatever you are, like, pay attention. What's going on with today's society? Nobody pays attention. And I'm sure my videos are boring as shit, right? You'd rather watch paint peel. But watch the whole video, and the answers that you have in the comments below will be answered. So one question that I got recently the other day was, where's the wax seal on the bottom of your holy relic? Did it come with a wax seal? At 3 minutes and 51 seconds into the video, I show you the wax seal. That's telling me that this person didn't commence through my video past 3 minutes and 50 seconds. Like, what do we all have? TikTok attention spans? The attention spans of goldfish? So watch my video, and most of your answers will be answered. Another question. Not a question. Someone said, that looks like a newly made fake. A newly made fake. Now, I show you comparables to give you basically the knowledge to find out whether something is fake or not fake, or how old it is. And that person didn't watch my video either, because I showed them comparables, and the person said that's a newer fake. And oh my God. All right, so let's get this open. And I'm going to prove to you on this one that this one's not a newly made fake. Now, a lot of times I do clean my antiques or the vintage collectibles that I collect in my collection. And so they do look like brand new when I get through with cleaning them. So the person probably watched maybe about 1 minute of my video and surmised that my item was a newly made fake. That's another thing. I've been collecting antiques and vintage pieces for over 27 years. 27 years. You don't gain this type of knowledge with, you know what I mean? It's like 27 years of knowledge. I'm not saying I'm an expert in everything, but I will tell you, if I'm going to show you something that's antique or vintage or something highly collectible, I'm not going to show you fakes and pass it off as like something that's old. And somebody saw an antique crucifix I had showed recently and said that looks like it was made in China and it's not antique. So if you come on my video and you're like, that's not antique, that's a reproduction, make sure you have backup for that. Because I gave that person a whole bunch of links. By the way, you can't put links in my description. In my comments. I disabled them, but I can put links. So if you try to put a link, don't put a link. Put the title of what you want me to search on Google exactly, and I'll copy and paste it. But you guys can't post links. But the dude did not even watch my video and wrote, this looks like a newly made Chinese reproduction. All right. So if you're watching this video, stay longer. And I may talk too much. I have diarrhea of the mouth. But pay attention. I'm here to teach you guys. This is what my videos are all about. It's like a historical unboxing, every single one of my unboxings, because I come up with the receipts, if you know what I mean. I show you guys, if you follow my channel, most of you are extremely high IQ followers. But the newers, I call them the newers, the people that just so stumble upon my videos who haven't been watching me for a long time, seem to be a little bit of the lower IQ status. I'm sure a lot of you that are new, that are watching this, do have higher IQ status, but before posting a comment, do your research. I encourage everybody to do research. So don't write, that's a newer Chinese reproduction. That doesn't look old. That's brand new. That's not real. That's made in China. Do your research. And pay attention to my whole video, even through the diarrhea of the mouth, too much excessive talking, and then you'll learn something. All right, so let's get this open. Oh, cool. All right. And I can assure you, people watching who are new to my channel, this is not a fake. This is not a new reproduction. I will show you, though, one part of it is actually not old or vintage. Well, it is vintage, but it's not as old as the piece that I purchased, that I had the intention of buying. And I'll show you why. You see, you're going to learn in my videos how to date things and so on and so forth, how to do your research. And okay, so this is a vintage, not antique, vintage holy relic. I don't know if you can see this, but before we get to the holy relic, and before someone says, this is not old, that's newly made like yesterday in a Chinese factory. We got a little entanglement in here. I will show you how you can date some of the items. Let's just get this. Okay, there we go. All right, let's zoom this way a hair. Okay, so this holy relic is attached to a chain with a lot of antique and vintage medallions. Now, here's one way to find out how old you have something. Look at the clues in front of you. What are the clues? Okay, so sometimes pieces are put together at different times. So for example, this piece was put together, let's just fix the camera, at a different time. So this is the oldest, and then comes the medals or the medallions, the holy medallions. These are vintage. So let's look at the clues. That's how you can solve the issue of finding out how old your piece is and whether it's authentic or not. So here we go. Clue number 1. Let's go ahead and check out clue number 1. I'm going to lower the camera for this so you can see this better. Okay, so clue number 1, we have on this medallion, this holy medallion, and this is why when people write comments on my videos, this is not old, blah, blah, blah. Like, dude, the clues are right here to tell you, to give you an idea of the age of things. It was not newly minted in China, I can assure you. All right, so what we have here written on the side is Pius XII. And on the other side, Pontius Maximus. And that in Latin means like, you know, it's like Maximus, get it? Maximum. Latin is the root of all romantic languages such as English. Maximus means the greatest, right? Pont stands for I believe Pontius, meaning like he's the Pope. All right, so we got Pontius Maximus, Pius the 12th. When was he Pope from and to? Let's find out. 1939 to 1958. So that tells us that this medallion was made between 1939 and 1958. But we have a clue here on the back, and it is a vision of Lourdes. So you see the vision of Lourdes. So let's find out when the vision of Lourdes happened. Okay, so the second clue is 1858 was the vision of Lourdes. Now, why would it be on the back of Pope Pius the 12th? Okay, now we are getting closer to figuring out the age of this stuff, guys. So just don't write on my comments, fake Chinese, newer piece, not old at all, because we're doing the research. Let's keep going. So our second clue is, what is the significance of Lourdes with Pope Pius XII, who was Pope from 1939 to 1958? On July 2nd, 1957, Pope Pius the 12th issued not going to go and pronounce that one, something de Lourdes, an encyclical in French that warned against materialism on the centenary of the Lord's apparition. Okay, so in 1957, it was the centenary. So now we know that this is a centenary medallion made in 1957 for the centenary, which is 100 years of the Lord's apparitions. Now, he also did a pilgrimage to Lourdes in 1937, and he also praised the Shrine of Lourdes as the center of Marian devotion. And I don't know if it's Marian or Marian, but there we go. Pope Pius the 12th prayed to the Virgin of Lourdes, asking her to return peace to troubled souls and hasten the return of Jesus Christ. So now we know that this medallion was made in 1957 for a special occasion. Now, even though I just showed you that, there will be people that only watched probably 20 seconds of my video and will come on my video and tell me fake, newer Chinese made, and I can assure you these medals were not reproduced. They still make medallions with Pope Pius, but not that way. All right, so what other clues do we have on here? So we know that this is probably put together around 1957, but let's look at the clues now. What are the clues? The chain. The chain can give us clues, especially jewelry. This chain was not put together. Well, these medallions were not attached to this so-called chain until later. So now if you come on my channel and you're like, yeah, That chain or bracelet is new. Chinese reproduction. It is not old. You are correct. You are actually correct. But the medallions were added later. So we have a married, what I call a married piece. How can I tell? Let's take a look at the closure. Where's the closure I just saw a moment ago? Aha, lobster claw. When was lobster claw closures put on jewelry? So knowledge is your friend, right? Knowledge is power. All right, so let's find out. The lobster claw clasp first appeared in jewelry in 1970, but the modern version wasn't patented until 1996. Because of this, the lobster claw clasps are more commonly found on retro jewelry, even though some pieces may have a vintage look. And it says, did you know that the lobster claw clasp, often found on jewelry, isn't considered vintage? Although it has predecessors dating back to 1959 and 1976, the modern lobster claw clasp we know today wasn't patented until 1996. 1970, the lobster claw clasp made its first appearance on the jewelry scene. And that's why it's more commonly found on retro bracelets and necklaces. This type of jewelry closure is named after the ocean crustacean claw that occurs in nature. And it says, lobster clasps, named for their resemblance to a lobster's claw, emerged in the early 20th century and remain prevalent in antique and vintage jewelry. And let's see, it's a more recent creation. Let's check out if we can see any other thing. Lobster claw clasp, how old? Let's go on the antiques board. You see, I want to teach you guys not to write comments on my stuff without knowing what the hell you're talking about. How long has the lobster claw clasp been around? Are they old or fairly new? New within the last 20 years? I'm asking because of this amber and sterling piece, 925 mark, blah, blah, blah. And let's check it out. That doesn't look very old to me. All right, let's see what they say. The clasp has been around since the late 1950s. Okay, so we know that this was put together at least by about 1957. Okay, this could be one of the earlier versions of the lobster claw. Let's take a look and see if we see any markings. If there's markings that may help us. But so we do know that this was not prevalent or popular until the 1970s. It was created earlier. So this actually could be anywhere between the 1950s, the late 1950s, when these medals were made, and this relic was made. So this could be one of the early lobster claw clasps that were not mass produced yet, but actually probably handmade. Interesting. This may not be a married piece. This may be an early teardrop lobster claw, and this may have been put together at around the same time the relic was made. So let's take a look at this Pope. This is Pope Pius X, I believe. Let's just double check. Or is it XI? We'll find out in a moment. Oh, this is my favorite saint. Well, one of them. Saint Pope Pius X. He was Pope from 1903 to 1914. But this was not made from 1903 to 1914 because we have a later date Pope right there who was from 1939 to 1958. Interesting. So let's continue to do our research. The next medal says Saint Bernadette, pray for us. Let's flip it over. So we have a multitude of different decades attached to here. And we see Saint Bernadette's vision right there with Mary. And let's continue to look. We have another clue. This is a French church. It looks a lot like Notre Dame. We have, I think, Our Lady of Perpetual Help. And we have another clue here. Let's take a look. We have Saint Christopher right here. And this Pope was from the 30s, but this is probably from the 50s. What's it say? It's in French. De sus catholique en case de... in case of an emergency, call a Catholic priest, is written in French. So this is probably something to do with a French person that must have owned it, or went on a pilgrimage, or what's called the Grand Tour of France. Very interesting. Most likely a nun or a priest. Now let's look at our relic. This is the highlight, boys and girls. So our relic, and I'm going to clean it up because a lot of you guys will see it cleaned and then say, that's a fake, that's newly made. But trust me, I shine these up like a new penny. Holy smackaroni, or holy macaroni. Ex ossibus. Now what's that mean, boys and girls? It's Latin for, it comes from the bone. And it says Juliae, verge. So in Latin, AE endings on a name actually depict a female. So we know this is not a male. We know this name is Julie or Julia. And we got the VIRG, which means virgin. So who is this Julie? And it says, the letter B in front of it stands for beatified or blessed. So this was before this saint became a saint. And this makes this all that more interesting for research. So we can find out like a date for when this was made. So this is, which saint is Juliae, who is a virgin? Very interesting. And look at the bone in there. Now, how can we tell this is even real? Well, relics usually come with, their first class relics, that is, and second class relics usually come with a certificate that it is real. And 9 times out of 10, a priest or a nun will have it. They pass away, and those certificates go missing. But there's one way that we can also check, and it's by pulling this back case off and seeing if there's a stamp from the Postula General saying that this is actually a true relic. Let's go ahead and do that. Okay, so a lot of people when they sell these online will say the backs don't come off, but they do. And so I use a teeny tiny microscopic screwdriver and I gently go around it and I lift. All right, so let's see. This is the moment, the drum roll. Okay, so for those of you who are coming on my video to tell me that this is a fake, newly made in China, I can assure you it's not. And so we have, this is the Vatican seal from the Postula General. And it is sealed, boys and girls. The threads are not cut. You can clearly see this has patina on it. This is an older wax stamp. It has the blackened areas. This is real, boys and girls, not a fake. It's real, not Memorex. So this is absolutely amazing. The size of this bone is huge. So what I am going to do is I am going to clean it up. And a lot of you are going to be like, that's made in China or Hong Kong. And I will make this shine up like a new penny. So remember it as is. And then we're going to find out more. Who is this saint? And when was this relic put together? And how can I prove it's not fake if I don't have the authenticity papers? Aha. Simichrone. And a silver polishing rag or metal polishing rag with buffing side and silver polish side. It is not made in China. It's going to shine up like a new penny. And we're going to put a little of the pink stuff on and rub it off. My stomach is growling. Is that made in China too? A lot of you are going to come and say you heard that. Okay, wax on, wax off, right? We're going to do this whole entire thing. And we're going to make it shine. But as you can see, the filth is coming off of this from many, many years. And by the way, I've never seen an ex ossibus this good before. Let's try to zoom in to show you the bone. Look at the size of that bone. And you can see the writing is very old. The typeset is very old on it. But this is really a great relic, boys and girls. You can't fake this type of patina. So, look at all the patina that came off of this from age. And so you can't fake this, boys and girls. And so if you're going to come on my video and say, that's new, made in Hong Kong. No, it's not made in Hong Kong. And so we're going to buff it. All right. So I did not clean it too much. I wanted to leave some of the patina on it. But I even cleaned the glass. I did not clean the back. We left the back filthy dirty. Why? Because I wanted to save some of the original patina from whatever nun or priest owned this. But let's flip it back over to the clean side. And now you can really see into the glass window. So I'm teaching you all how to be detectives and how to actually not write unfactual based comments in my comments below. Who is Saint Julie or Saint Julia? And where, what saint is she? I'm going to type in Saint Julia. And there was a Saint Julia of Corsica. So let's find out about her. And when was she canonized as a saint? Because we have the B clue in front of the name of the saint that is on my thing. So let's go to Saint Julia of Corsica. And when was she a saint and actually canonized? Died in the 5th century? Yep, it can't be. St. Julia of Corsica. We found our saint. Oh, we found our saint. St. Julie Billiart. Okay, so let's find out more. When was she beatified or blessed? That's before the canonization, boys and girls. And let's find that out right now. Here we go. We're going to take a look at her kind face. Okay, so she was born in 1751 in, Belgium. Okay, in France. So we have our French connection, the French connection, with the medals. They were in French. Okay, venerated in the Roman Catholic Church, beatified May 13, 1906 by Pope Pius X. Oh, baby, guess what? We have the medallion with Pope Pius X on it, but we also had Pope Pius the 12th. So Pope Pius the 10th and the 12th. So we're going to figure out the age. Canonized in 1969 by Pope Paul the 6th. Very interesting. So we know that this was put together before 1969 and after 1906. All right, so we're going to look at other relics. And this one's selling on eBay for $250. This is dated 1950, and it's when she was blessed, when she was not canonized as a saint. All right, so let's take a look at similar reliquaries and thecas, and you can see the theca is very similar to mine, not exact, but it has the same ridges and stuff like that. So we do know that this is not a reproduction like I'm getting in my comments. You know, people, you really need to do your homework. $324.20 this relic sold for. The back is different from mine, but then we get a taste of a similar time frame. Now I'm looking for St. Julie Billiart relics, and it appears to me that she's not very popular. You don't see too many of them. You really don't see too many of them. And as I continue to do my research, I'm finding there's not that many relics, well, first-class relics of her around on the market. I'm just not seeing them. I'm not seeing them at all. Now I'm looking at like lots of different relics, and you will notice a lot of them come with certificates. And you might say, well, yours doesn't have a certificate, it's fake. Mine is considered an orphan. These certificates do go missing, and so a lot of times the priest will pass away or the nun who has this in their possession, and over time, like the family go through their paperwork and just throw all their paperwork out. And so that the paperwork gets separated from the relics. And I'm trying to find other thecas that are similar to mine from Julie. This one is very similar to mine. So I think for this type of theca, we're in the 1950s date range. Here's a actual document with the same style theca. 1950, so we're in the 1950s time range.
Today we celebrate St. Julie Billiart. 2 decades of paralysis didn't stop today's saint from following in the footsteps of Jesus. Born in France in 1751, Marie Rose Julie Billiart loved learning about her faith and serving as a catechist. As a young woman, she witnessed an attempt to wound or kill her father. The experience so frightened her, it left her unable to walk. For the next 2 decades, she continued to teach catechism lessons from her bed and also offered spiritual advice to visitors. When the French Revolution broke out, Julie was at risk because of her allegiance to fugitive priests. She was smuggled out of her hometown and spent years on the move and in hiding. Around this time, Julie had a vision in which she saw Calvary surrounded by women in religious habits. Later, she met another woman who shared her interest in teaching the faith. In 1803, the two began the Institute of Notre Dame de Namur, initially dedicated to educating the poor and training catechists. The following year, Julie was able to walk for the first time in 22 years. She died in 1816 and was canonized in 1969.
So let's put the pieces of the puzzle together. And this is why nobody gets past 30 seconds of any of my videos, because I go on and on and on. But if you paid attention to my videos, maybe you would learn something. Maybe this might even interest you. Okay, so here's the building we see on the medallion. and it is in French, and I'm not going to attempt to even read that. But let's find out more information about it, can we? When was it built? It opened in 1910, boys and girls. Very, very interesting. So when I said this piece is a pilgrimage piece, we know that it is definitely a pilgrimage piece now. Somebody took a trip to France and got a hold of this relic of a French lady, of a French saint, who was not a saint at the time of the making of this relic. Very interesting, boys and girls. All right, so if you stayed and you watched this whole video, give yourself a round of applause for being one of the people that have a high IQ and not an attention span of TikTok or a goldfish. You learned. We found out that this is not a mass-produced, made in Hong Kong relic. We also figured out that this is actually, we found the story about lobster claw classes, how to date jewelry. We also learned how to tell which saint it is by the clues that we find on the relic. We also learned that this Becca was not mass-produced, again, in Hong Kong. And so you sat here and you watched the whole thing, and you learned how to research also. You learned how to find the clues on the object and look the clues up and find out more about what the item's clues have to tell us. And for that, I give you guys much top billing. So give me a thumbs up and a subscribe if you haven't already. Hit the bell notification and all, and we'll do research together. And so before you write a comment after watching a video for 30 seconds, if you sat here and watched this whole entire thing, I'm clapping for you, because that means you're intelligent and you have a higher IQ than most of the people that watch 30 seconds of my video and write, that's fake, made in Hong Kong, mass produced, not real relic. Where's the stamp? Does it have a wax seal? I want to know, does it have a wax seal? Well, you didn't watch my video because I showed you the wax seal. Thanks for watching. See you guys all soon. And I'm sorry for being a nag, but I can't stand uninformed people who don't do their homework or don't even last for more than 30 seconds.